moon hung low in the blackened sky, its pale light struggling to break through the dense canopy of the forest. Alec stumbled over gnarled roots and patches of frozen earth, his breath coming in ragged clouds. He had taken the wrong path hours ago, lured by what he thought was the sound of running water. Now he was hopelessly lost. The woods were eerily silent, save for the crunch of dead leaves beneath his boots. It wasn't just silence. This was an oppressive void. No rustling animals, no wind through the branches, only the sound of his own heartbeat thudding in his ears. Alec paused to gather his bearings, shining his flashlight into the abyss of trees. That's when he first heard it. A faint, wet sound, like something being dragged. The noise was distant, almost imperceptible, but it prickled the hairs on his neck. He turned slowly, the beam of his flashlight cutting a narrow swath through the darkness. "Hello?" he called out, his voice brittle. Silence. Then the dragging sound again, closer this time. Alec's stomach churned. He pushed forward, picking up his pace, desperate to put distance between himself and whatever was lurking out there. The dragging grew louder, punctuated by a sickening squelch. His legs burned as he ran blindly through the forest, the flashlight bobbing wildly in his grip. Suddenly, his foot snagged on something, sending him sprawling. He hit the ground hard, his flashlight skittering away. Groaning, Alec pushed himself up, his palms slick with cold mud, and something else, something sticky. He gagged as the metallic stench hit him. Blood. His hands were coated in it. Panicked, he scrambled for the flashlight and swept it around. The beam landed on a tangle of viscera spilling out from the hollow of a tree. A deer, or what was left of it. Its ribs jutted out like broken fingers, the flesh around them shredded and glistening. The animal's head was missing entirely. The dragging sound was louder now, accompanied by a low, guttural growl. Alec spun around, the light catching a flash of movement. A shape, humanoid but impossibly wrong, lurched between the trees. Its limbs were too long, its joints bending at grotesque angles. Its eyes gleamed like wet stones, reflecting the flashlight's beam. Alec bolted, his breath hitching with every step. He didn't dare look back, but the sound of pursuit was unmistakable. Heavy, wet footsteps pounding the forest floor. He crashed through a clearing and stumbled into a shallow creek, the icy water shocking his senses. The thing behind him was close, too close. He could hear its ragged breathing, a guttural rasp that sent shivers down his spine. Alec turned just in time to see it emerge from the shadows. Its skin was a patchwork of torn flesh and sinew, glistening with blood. Its face, or what should have been its face, was a twisted mask of raw meat, the jaw unhinged like a snake's. It lunged. Alec screamed as its claws raked across his chest, tearing through fabric and skin like paper. He fell back into the creek, the icy water mixing with the warmth of his blood. The creature loomed over him, its jaw widening further, revealing rows of needle-like teeth. Desperate, Alec grabbed a jagged rock from the creek bed and swung it with all his strength. The rock connected with the creature's head, cracking against bone. It reeled back, giving him a moment to scramble to his feet. He ran, clutching his torn chest, the pain blinding. The forest seemed to close in around him, the trees twisting into grotesque shapes. His vision blurred, his body screaming for rest, but he couldn't stop. The sound of pursuit faded, replaced by a new sound, a whispering. Dozens of voices, hissing and murmuring from all directions. Alec slowed, his head spinning. The whispers grew louder, overlapping into an incomprehensible cacophony. Then he saw them. Figures, barely visible in the gloom, their hollow eyes glowing faintly. They surrounded him, their forms shifting and melting into the shadows. One stepped closer, its face splitting into a grotesque grin. It reached out, and Alec's scream was swallowed by the darkness. By morning, the forest was silent again. The search party found no trace of Alec, only his flashlight, cracked and smeared with blood, lying next to the creek. The deer carcass was gone. But deep within the woods, the whispers continued.